What's up, everybody? Welcome back to us from their DCO commentary. Here bringing you here the fire tank and DPS loadout guide. I promise you all. Now, take into effect that now fire is my main power that I've been using since launch. It's the one I'm most familiar with out of all of them. However, I am not, not trying to say that I am the best at this game with fire. There are other people that are better at with it than I am. But that being said, these are going to be the loadouts and the builds that I've found the most success with in PvE and PvP. What you guys are looking at right here is this is my tanking PvE loadout. I mostly use this for the harder alerts like FOS1 and FOS2. You'll notice and all that I've got a lot of self heals in it, and that's for good reason because the main benefit of being a fire tank is the health buffs and the self heals, and increasing your health and increasing the amount of heals you can get in there. That's why I've used these powers. Now I do sometimes. I'll take you over here to the powers tab. I do at times. I will switch out, say, instead of using reignition, depending on the situation, instead of using reignition, I will use Eternal Flames. Now, Eternal Flames, I've actually been finding some hit and miss with Eternal Flames. I think it depends on how much you're getting any physical attacks, like melee attacks, on you, depending on how much heals you get. You actually used it in FOS2 last night, and didn't work as well for me as I had hoped. I switched it back out to ignition. The only real downfall to Eternal Flames, when it's worked for me, it's worked very well. The only downfall to it though is that it is 100% supercharged. So if you don't have the tank neck piece, you're going to be kind of SOL on getting your supercharge up. But that's why reignition is a really good one to have, especially if you have the tank neck piece, because supercharge is really easy to build up. It's only 25% supercharge. The main reason now, though, why I run Inflame, I've noticed a lot of tanks out there, they try and run Inferno instead of Immolation. Inferno right now is kind of broken right now. It's not bestowing Immolation on people in its area, or even on yourself for that matter. Inferno is a much better and less power costly power to use for getting aggro on people, and also it works well whenever you go to use backdraft immediately after that. Backdraft increases your health, and it also provides you a heal against any enemies that are burning. Backdraft works very well on pulling aggro and pulling ads towards you to get them away from other team members. And following some advice that I was given by somebody in comments on one of the other videos, you are able on that ramp area in FOS2 to pull the ads that are walking down that ramp off the ramp with backdraft. It's not as good as an Inescapable Storm for Ice because you have to be a lot closer, but it does work. And if you've got a healer and a troller up there to keep giving you power and keeping you healed up and all that, you'll be good to go. For iconic powers, the only ones that I pick whenever I'm tanking those raids are the defense and health innates and the crit heals. When I'm specking the skill points for PvE for those raids, I'll spec purely into dominance, and then into the toughness and defense innates, and then into my crit heals. Yeah, I have 97 skill points, so I can do that. But the raids progress in difficulty as you get higher up in gear and everything. So, don't try and push yourselves, too hard in a raid. If you don't feel like you can get to it, don't do it. I also keep downdraft. Make sure I always spec in a downdraft because it really helps with like the retrievers on the second boss in FOS1, and it really helps on the when you're defending the crystal after you get up that ramp. But those are the only flight innates that I spec myself into. For tanking in PvP, though, my loadout and my spec is a lot different. With the powers I pick, I still go with Inflame in my loadout, but I also got to make sure that I get Burnout. Burnout is the one that provides immunity to your team, up to 3 members. It removes debuffs and makes sure that your healers can keep putting out the same amount of heals. For that, I also spec into Burning Determination, because it also provides immunities for your team and keeps them from getting debuffed. Those are the main powers that you need to have whenever you're tanking in PvP. The rest is kind of hit and miss what you want to do. With my power selections for Burnout and Burning Determination, I'm kind of locked into certain powers that I have to use. But I've been using this loadout for a while, and that's what's worked best for me. I usually have Inflame with Backdraft in my loadout. I also will have Meteor in there, and I will for my supercharge. It often switches around depending on the situation. I'll use either Fireball Barrage, or, now granted this is only for people who are flight, I will go with Vacuum Bubble. Yeah, with Vacuum Bubble for my supercharge. Both of them are good supercharges. They're both 50%. They work really well, and they put out a lot of damage. For tanking, though, in PvP, as far as my skill point specs, I mostly spec into crits. All my crit attack and crit damages. Why? Because my main job is to try, other than putting out the immunities and keeping the debuffs off everybody on my team, I'm there to kill the controller. So that's why while I've got it looks like I've got a couple of a few self heals in my loadout and everything, my main job is to take out the controller and keep them from wrecking my healers all the time. For DPSing, now what I have found useful is with my iconics, of course, you've got to go with the Weapons Expert and Tactical Genius for it. I've seen some people have started using a Neo Venom booster. For some people it works well. I don't use it, to be honest with you, because it takes away from the loadout build that I use for DPSing. And when I talk about DPSing, it's pure DPSing. There's no tanking or really any self heals available to me with that loadout. Now in my loadout, I will always have Fiery Weapon and Inferno in it. Inferno gives you it's a cheap the description here is wrong. Says it's vulnerable to interrupt. It's an instant cast. It's not vulnerable to interrupt anymore. Fiery Weapon increases the critical strike chance and strike damage that you get from your attacks. Now, it's not just melee, that's also from weapon attacks or power attacks. Inferno increases damage by 50%. Meteor is a good power to use in there. With that, I will also use Absorb Heat to get a good stun on them, and gives me some heals if I'm getting burned down and everything. I usually try to range whenever I'm fire DPSing though, so Fireball Barrage isn't really the best one to use, but I will spec into it just so I can get down here into this chain for Backdraft, because Backdraft does give me a 45% increase on damage. So I'll just pop that real quick to give me the damage. It's a fairly low costing power, and it's semi-spammable if you need to. For the supercharge though, what I will use with that is I've been playing around with this idea of using Dust Off. for my supercharge in DPS. Why? Because yeah, it's a 50% supercharge, but it gets me out. If I'm getting piled or you're getting in any kind of trouble, you can get right out of there. For super speedsters, if you are tanking in PvE or PvP, I recommend you guys go with Speed Drain. It provides power back to everybody in your group, and that will help take some of the stress off your troller powering up, keeping your healers powered up, and the DPS powered up in PvE. I also recommend it for PvP purposes also, because a lot of times and all that you'll see people who have a hard time keeping power up, especially when healers got to spam out heals really quick. But that is my basic loadout for DPSing for PvE and PvP for DPS. I hope this helps everybody out, and next up will be my talk a bit about ice tanking and DPSing. You guys take care. Bye.